Welcome to episode number 2 of the Evolve with Jen and Luke podcast. In today's podcast, we have a conversation with our guest, Hunter Lantzman. She's a 14-year-old and she's a very wise 14-year-old at that. We talk about how gratitude and having no regrets drives Hunter to be excellent in soccer. Hunter discusses her experience with low confidence and she shares some tips on how to overcome low confidence. We dive into a little discussion about different styles of coaching, and we also discuss how different styles of coaching affect the confidence of the players in a different way. Jen shares an approach on how to have a conversation with a coach when it's needed. We talk about the power of developing an inner authority and self-respect. And Hunter shares some advice she would give to her younger self in soccer and in life. So we really enjoyed interviewing Hunter and we hope you enjoy the conversation too. So welcome to episode number 2 of the Evolve with Jen and Luke podcast. My name is Luke Bunder and I'm here with Jen Hoy, a former 7-year NWSL professional and now a confidence and performance coach and the founder at Her Power Academy.
And I am here with Luke Bunder, who is a former Australian professional boxer turned mindset and confidence coach.
And in these podcasts, we are going to be interviewing some talented upcoming athletes and scholars. We are going to explore their perspectives on performance, coaches, overcoming confidence challenges, and much, much more. And the goal is to share a lot of valuable lessons and tools along the way to help you evolve into the most confident, joyful, high performance young athlete you can be.
Today's guest is the amazing and powerful Hunter Lantzman. Am I saying your last name correctly, Hunter?
Yeah.
Yes, good. Hunter Lantzman. She is 14 years old, a center mid, and plays for the Match Fit Academy ECNL 2008 girls team. Hunter loves soccer because she loves the feeling of being on the field, feeling the breeze blow through her hair as she runs, hearing the ball being kicked, and hearing the parents cheering ever since she was a little girl. She's always loved the excitement of winning and the determination when she and her teammates are losing and they need to come back and work together. She loves a good challenge. And apart from her love of playing soccer, it's a great escape for her whenever she's feeling down or just having a not so great day. It always seems to help make her happy and cure any sadness she's feeling, no matter how sad or upset she's feeling in a given day. If she gets to play soccer, it's a great day. And that's my part of the intro. Yay, Hunter!
Yeah, and I'm going to share a few of Hunter's successes. So some of Hunter's biggest successes in soccer and life so far. She was invited to the All-American for soccer. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
All-American for soccer, and she won the shooting challenge and was named to the first team as the youngest girl there. In the shooting challenge, she also got the highest score, including the boys, beating all the boys. Must have your accuracy. She won futsal championship 3 years in a row, and on her birthday in 2019, she won the state cup with her team by scoring 2 goals, assisting 2 goals, with a final score of the game being 4-3. The last 2 summers, she went to the Red Bull camps and she won the skills challenge. And fun fact, Hunter had her bat mitzvah in the middle of the pandemic. How did that work?
Well, I was gonna have it at a temple, then we were gonna have the party somewhere else, but I ended up just having the service in my house and then the party in my backyard.
Cool. Was it still awesome?
Yeah, it was.
Amazing. Well done. Well, thanks for joining us. That was a big intro. Lots of things to celebrate you with. How is everything today? How have you been?
I've been good. I'm doing good.
Good. Fantastic.
Your room
Um,
is super beautiful, by the way. I'm loving the design that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Just breathe, life goes on. Soccer balls hanging in the background. Yes.
so we're gonna jump into it. So who is your biggest who or what is your biggest inspiration in life,
Um,
Hunter?
yeah, so my biggest inspiration is my grandmother on my dad's side
Mm-hmm.
because she's always like understanding with me and she's very patient
Mm.
and she's the wisest person I know and I can always count on her for good advice or just someone that I would like to talk to. And she's also the most selfless and caring person I know. She always makes sure to take care of everyone else before herself, even her own dog, and treats her dog like she treats her dog as if she's a real human child. She talks to her. She's very generous and thoughtful towards everyone. And but like most of all, she's just real. She doesn't change her personality because of who she's with, and she stays true to herself the whole time, and like I think that's really special.
Mm. That's beautiful, Hunter. And I just want to say that, I think a big thing that can tell us who we truly are inside is the things that we love and respect. So I get the sense that everything that she is, it sounds like you really aspire to be. And it sounds like, from me knowing you for the last 12 weeks, I get the sense that you're very much similar to her, and she's had a great influence on you.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's beautiful. Awesome. And Hunter, what you're quite you're quite a impressive player, and just person to us, to Jen and I, for a 14-year-old to have such high standards of excellence. What drives you or motivates you to be as excellent as you can be in soccer?
Yeah, so what drives me to be excellent is just thinking of the fact that not everyone gets to play, and I'm just so lucky to be able to, and I couldn't imagine my life without it.
Mm-hmm.
And what also motivates me is thinking like this is the last time I'll be allowed to play. And like, is this how I want the last time to be when I play? So I want to have no regrets after. And then when the game ends, I could say that I did my job.
Right. So you're really motivated. Sounds like by gratitude. Is that right? You're
Yeah.
grateful for every game you can play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
Gratitude and
Yeah.
no regrets. That's a
Yeah.
powerful combo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wanting to just leave it all in the field. Awesome. Awesome. And do you have any goals or dreams in soccer? Big dreams in soccer?
Yeah, I want to play professionally one day when I'm older.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, Hunter, what has been a failure that has actually been a blessing to you in the long run?
Yes. So I switched teams after being on the same team for 4 years, and the team that I went to was less successful than the one that I just left. And I was hoping to lead my new team I was on, but I got an injury early into the season and I sprained my ankle, and that led me not to be a starting player all season. It actually became a blessing in the long run because it had led me to her Power Academy and made me work harder and smarter to reach my goals and to have a better mindset overall. And this has and will continue to help me in the long run, especially with overcoming any obstacles I may encounter.
Amazing. Amazing.
Wow. So, and how did it lead you to us? Or was it like once you found out about us, you were like, wow, like I think that'll help me with what I'm going through to get where I want to be?
Yeah, so I was actually on a webinar for an ODP team, and you guys were there because you were like doing a call and like a webinar, and I was listening to you guys and like everything that you were saying, and I thought that it would definitely help me because I was losing my confidence from switching and then not playing, and then I thought it would be a good fit.
Mm. Awesome.
Awesome. So
Awesome.
great.
Well,
And out of curiosity, which workshop or webinar was that? Was that the one on performance, confidence, goal setting, or was that another one on the 3 mistakes parents miss?
No, yeah, it was that one with the confidence and goal setting.
Awesome. So great. Yay. We know prior to summer you were experiencing some low confidence. Can you tell us a little more about your experience of this? And part of why we're asking this question is because we think it's valuable for other young girls to hear that they're not the only ones who experience this. They're not alone.
Yeah. So it started a little before I switched teams, and I was on the same soccer team for 4 years with the same coach. And not just for me, but any soccer player, I think that that's too long to be on the team with the same coach because you only learn the same style and you wouldn't be exposed to different kinds of coaching. And I'm not like talking about this one coach being mean to her, but her methods just did not help me as a player. And for many people out there, some coaches are there to help you grow, some are there to make you worse, and some are just there just to be there. And they don't make you better or worse. And for me, as the years went on and being with that team, my coach wanted me to play differently and not do what I was good at on the field. Over time, I was playing less and less like myself, and I started only playing 1 and 2 touch passes. It got to a point where I was really struggling, especially with my confidence, that every time I would have the ball, I would be very scared and then I would lose it. I would never want the ball at some point, and I was too afraid of being yelled at, hurting my team, and not pleasing my coach. And it got so bad that I decided to leave that team and go join another team. Now, that team wasn't as skilled or competitive, but I thought at the time that it was definitely the right choice for me. At the beginning of the new season on that team, my coach started me, but then I soon injured myself, like I said before, and was out for a bit of time. I still went to the games and cheered on my teammates. I even went to California knowing I wasn't going to play. I ended up actually playing a little bit of the first game, and then I hurt my ankle more, so I didn't play the rest of the tournament. Weeks later, when I was fully healed, my coach would just not put me in games. And he said he would, but then he just didn't. For me, I felt that zapped my confidence even more. And then a little more than half a year passed, and I was playing in games, but not starting. My coach played me at the end of each half for 10, 15 or so minutes each game. And I went from playing almost an entire game on my old team to playing maybe 15 minutes. Now, at this point, my confidence was even lower. And for me, I didn't even think that that was possible since it was already pretty low.
can I ask what was the coach doing that was sort of zapping your confidence, do you feel? What specifically was he or she doing?
Yeah, so when I was on my old team, I'd play a lot and I would get the minutes I felt I deserved. But then when I came to this team and he wouldn't play me, and when I was healed and he didn't even play me at all in the game, then I just
Mm,
felt like I wasn't good enough. And then I was playing less and less. And
mm,
then I felt that like I was just getting worse also.
yeah. Okay, so can I ask, because I imagine from your perspective, Jen, there might be like some players that don't get played, and I'm sure like what we spoke about in our first podcast with Caitlin, I'm sure some coaches just don't play for whatever reason, but then did this coach tell you why they didn't play you, one, and did they give you some support, supportive words regardless of not playing you, and encourage you to do things to help you be able to play, anything like that, Hunter?
Well, he didn't really tell me anything. Like he would just continue playing the game. He just sat there.
Yeah.
And one time, like a couple times, he gave me my cards to play, like that I would give to the refs, but then he would never put me in. So then I
Okay.
was like maybe he forgot about me. but then like
Mm.
he didn't, because then at halftime like he would say like he didn't want me to play because he didn't want me to get like more hurt even though I was healed.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mm.
And did you ever approach him and have a conversation or ask for a conversation?
I did think about it,
Well,
but
it's tough for a 14-year-old to do.
Very
Yeah.
It's a
definitely. Yeah.
12-year-old or whatever
I
you were.
was going to, but then I didn't. And because I realized that like he didn't know that I was there and he just didn't want to play me for whatever reason. So I figured it was a good reason.
Mm. And on this, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and pretend that, he's or pretend like, let's assume that his biggest goal was to win the game. Wasn't so much he's just using whatever plays he thought was to absolutely win the game. Maybe he truly was trying to protect your health and protect your ankle and stuff. Whatever it was, but what could he have done or said that, besides just putting you on, could he have said something to maybe validate you and make you feel more valued on that team, that wouldn't, could he have done anything differently that wouldn't have stripped away your confidence so much?
Yeah, he could have like let me know what he was thinking and
Mm.
why he made the decision he made. Because
Yeah.
if he at least told me, then I would have been like, oh, okay, and like I would have understood.
Yeah, so the communication, and that's so common. The lack of communication is troubling because it leaves you in your own imagination. Just so many people just assume the worst then, right? So it's yeah. So it's yeah.
And
Jen?
for players listening, Hunter, I'm sure during our time together, this at her prayer academy, perhaps you were part of a call where we spoke about this. But I just want to share this. So I personally experienced and found that coaches really, and they're going to be there's a huge diversity of coaches out there, right? Some are going to be very approachable, others the opposite of approachable, whatever that word is, scary, intimidating, right? Not nice, not welcoming. With that said, I have found that it only works to our benefit to ask respectfully for a conversation, to set up a time. And even though it's scary, choosing to be brave, choosing to be courageous, show up, say to the coach, thanks for this meeting, start with the thank you. Thank you for this meeting. Thanks for the feedback you've been giving me lately on the field. I really appreciate that. And hey, I wanted to ask you some questions to understand how I can improve and serve this team more and also work toward my personal goals. But doing that demonstrates to the coach, oh, this Hunter girl, she really cares beyond your work rate and your effort that I know you brought every single day. It demonstrates like another level of how much a player wants to be there. And I have personally experienced when I've had conversations in the past, not always, but there were certainly times where my playing time improved because a coach recognized that like I really wanted it. I demonstrated initiative. And then they were like, oh, okay, I am actually noticed that Jen or Hunter or whoever really is putting in the effort, really is going the extra mile. And I want to reward that. And I want more players on my team like that. So I just wanted to share that. I know you know that, Hunter, but I wanted to just offer that because I've certainly been in your shoes where there were times where I was intimidated and I definitely didn't have conversations I wish I had.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
And it's also it's also not to, like there are coaches that lack massive amounts of social emotional intelligence, so they lack the ability to communicate, they lack the ability to even think they should communicate, they lack the ability to control their own emotions, they lack the ability to put themselves into someone else's shoes. And if you can have that conversation and it still goes no good, then what you've done is you've you've basically tried all avenues, and you've gotten to the point where you're like, cool, well, I can now choose to just stay on this team, or I can leave.
And it
Because
accelerates
yeah.
what was going to inevitably happen regardless, right? Like, oh, I can wait and stay in this pain and just like hope it changes, or I can have a conversation and then just accelerate either getting what I want, which is also going to serve the team more, or get to another team where I'm going to be more taken care of. And by the way, we're not bashing. This isn't just a focus on coaches. All humans at all ages, we all are imperfect, and we all, sometimes can do better with our emotional intelligence, our social intelligence, our communication, our emotional control, all of that. So we do love our coaches. With that said, we are on the front lines with a bunch of kids who tell us these stories where coaches are zapping kids' confidence and stripping them of confidence. So we do have, we're quite passionate about spreading awareness about this and helping our kids with tools to navigate these situations.
Yeah, well, just over this last summer, we've dealt with supported, over 8 girls with like 8 girls specifically with that challenge. The coach that's not, I don't think it's by intention. I think our coaches have positive intentions, and in their mind they're doing the right thing, and I believe that's the case. I think that the problem is the lack of awareness of what damage can be caused with the low emotional intelligence, with a lack of communication, and without understanding how the younger athletes, or just anyone in general, but especially the younger athletes, how their minds work, and how no communication is still communicating something. No communication is communicating that might communicate to you that you're not worth communicating to, right? So they might be like, well, they don't even value me enough to communicate to me. Ignoring, or it might feel like rejection, the same as ignoring them when they have a bad game. And I've found that a lot of the players they don't start off with a fear of making mistakes. They start off with playing because they're kids, they're playing games, having fun. And then they get yelled at a few times for making a mistake. And then they go, oh, I don't want to feel that again. And then they go, oh, I don't want to make a mistake because I don't want to get yelled at. So they're starting to get a bit panicky, and they get a bit of anxiety, and then they make a mistake, and then they start yelling at themselves. And now next minute, they've got either the coach or their own self yelling at them so much for a mistake that they're anxious to even go and play or practice because they're worried about a mistake. And it's sport. You're going to make a mistake. It's inevitable. And I know that's a challenge you faced throughout the summer, and we had to work with you to overcome that and your confidence. And we've spent quite a lot of time together over the summer, Hunter. And I thought I'd ask you, what advice would you give to anyone struggling with low confidence, since you've sort of gone from having low confidence to lifting it up again?
Yeah, so I would first start off by saying that confident doesn't mean like you're walking into a room thinking you're better than everyone, or you're thinking they will like me. It's that you walk into a room not having to compare yourself to anyone, and that you'll be saying, be fine if they don't like me, like whatever.
Because you just like yourself.
Yeah. And so, like, to boost your confidence, you have to accept who you are and all your imperfections. And you don't want to look for everyone else's approval. You want to also plan to do something challenging every week that pulls you out of your comfort zone. And then eventually you could go to like doing something challenging every day. You want to think positively. Like I said before, stop comparing yourself to others and try to like see what and tell yourself what you're good at. And also like don't give up on your dreams. And confidence isn't something that you can just get rid of easily, like a splinter or like a thorn. You gain more and more of it over time, but you have to put in the work if you want to get better. No one can do it for you, but you will get over it and you will overcome it. And one day you'll tell your story, just like I'm doing now, about how you overcame it. and it will be someone else's survival guide.
Oh,
that's epic.
Hunter, you are a
That's
magician with your words. You really are.
yeah,
It's like you're an artist with them.
it's beautiful. Man, wow.
So beautiful. It's like making me tear
Yeah.
up, honestly. Oh,
Yeah,
Hunter.
and honestly, that's the goal of these podcasts. If even one young girl or boy or anyone, one person, if this supports one person, then this is all worth it. So if this helps someone get through their challenge, then fantastic. So I'm going to move on to from a player's perspective, what style of coaching, not to go back to bashing coaches, and that's not what this is about at all. It's about really just bringing awareness to the field from the athlete's perspective, and also to see if we can I would love to create a culture of high performing coaches that also make the kids feel absolutely incredible about themselves, uplift their confidence, which seems to me to make sense that the highest performing teams would be the most confident kids on there. But from a player's perspective, Hunter, what style of coaching do you love to be coached by?
Every player is different, and they get motivated and better by different styles and ways. But for me, I love to be coached most by coaches who don't just shout and yell at me without telling me how to fix whatever it is I'm doing wrong. I would prefer it if they tell me what it is I'm doing wrong and how to fix it. And I'd also would love to be coached by someone who tells me when I'm doing something good and not just when I'm doing something wrong.
And that's
I
the thing we're
love
noticing.
that. Total theme. Caitlin mentioned that first part as well. Like, when I'm doing something wrong, cool, no problem. Please let me know how I can fix it. I'll do the work.
Which, by the
love
way,
that.
no offense to anyone, like that's coaching. It's like don't yell at me and tell me what's wrong, and then don't tell me how to fix it, because that's only part of the coaching.
And
yeah.
I'll add to that, though, the taking responsibility part on our end to advocate for ourselves. And even if the coach doesn't care enough, isn't emotionally intelligent enough, isn't a good enough communicator to be able to tell us, we can take responsibility and say, hey, coach, I know you didn't like how I did that. What do you want me to do instead? Right? Thanks so much for your feedback. What do you want me to do instead? And that's how we take back and keep our power.
And that's a theme of, obviously, Hunter, that's a theme of her Pro Academy for each player to take responsibility. And I think there is a blessing in having the lower emotionally intelligent coaches, because what that forces you to do is to become highly emotionally intelligent yourself, or even more emotionally intelligent, just to be able to handle it yourself. So that's really good. And what style of coaching do you think does get the most performance, the most out of the players, give them elicit the best performance, and give them the most confidence? What style of coaching do you think from your perspective?
I would definitely say the one I just said that I love the most, because I think players would benefit from this style since they're being taught what to do better, even with someone yelling at them. At the same time, like, they're also being congratulated for doing something good. And I feel that that's important for any coach to do, since if a coach isn't saying things like great pass or great touch or great shot or so on, the players won't think they're doing anything good. And then they'll start hating on themselves because they think they're doing everything bad or wrong. And they'll have very low self-confidence the more this happens. And I've also felt this firsthand, so I know what it's like.
Yeah. And that's a great point, because some people think it's either I yell at them and get frustrated at them, or I'm too soft on them. But that's not the case. We can, even at Her Power Academy, we've held you guys to a really high standard. And when we get serious sometimes and say, hey, I really want you to listen to this, because this is important. This is for your future. And we're not being playful all the time. It's like, no, it's time to step. But we're always we're always believing in you and supporting you 100%. And I think that's an important attitude to adopt for someone who's, you know, essentially they're in a position to affect either negatively or positively these teenage girls and boys lives and minds. It's an important position, it's an important responsibility to be in, I think. You got anything to add, Jen?
Well, what I was going to add is your answer, Hunter, made me think of, so it's so nice to be celebrated by coaches. And I've had all different sorts of coaches in my career. And there were certainly some who were not celebrators all the time or much. And so with everything I've learned, and I know you're well aware of this, but to just hit it home and also to share it for the people listening, I think this is part of why at the beginning of our calls with you girls, we ask you, what are you celebrating? What's going well? What progressions have you noticed? What are you celebrating in your life? Because as much as I wish I had received it from my coaches more, and I hope that all the coaches that you and the other kids work with in the future do that, because it's going to get the best out of the players 99.9% of the time. We can still also be the ones to celebrate ourselves. And I know you know that at this stage with your amazing progressions, with your self-confidence, your self-esteem. But it just, like I said, just to hit that home, like we can celebrate ourselves each and every day, or, you know, at the end of each week, or right before we go to bed. What are 3 things that went well today? What are 3 progressions I'm celebrating in myself? Because that wires us to be focused on the things that are going well and helps us with our motivation to keep going, even when we might have a coach that just is not nice, right? Is a more tough love type of coach.
Hunter, I sent you some of these questions beforehand and asked you what is the best advice you ever received?
So the best advice that I've ever received was, whether it's good or bad, nothing lasts forever. And that was actually from my grandmother. She's told me this before.
Oh,
And
good.
yeah, and so it means that you could have a really good game, a good grade in school, or a good speech, and then you could also have a really bad game, bad grade in school, or like a terrible speech. And no matter what it is, it doesn't last forever. Once you get that good grade, you're proud of yourself. But after that, it doesn't matter anymore because it happened in the past. There's always another grade that you're going to have to focus on. Getting a good grade before doesn't mean that you're going to get it again. The same goes for if you get a bad grade. It doesn't mean the next time you have a test or assignment, you're going to also get a bad grade.
Yeah. So I love that. So don't do it. Just today's result is just today's result. Don't generalize it into the future. Is that right? Yeah.
And today's experience is just today's experience. The good, the bad, nothing lasts forever. I love that.
Yeah. So I ask this. I'm going to ask this to all the young athletes. If you were giving soccer advice to your 10 or 12-year-old self, your younger self, what would you tell her?
I would tell her to always play her game and to not let anyone tell her how to play it, not even a coach. I would tell her that she's an amazing player and that she doesn't need the rest of the world to tell her that. And I would say to play her game and focus on that. I would tell her that if her teammates are being mean to her, it's because they're jealous or they want to be like you. To have also a short-term memory when it comes to playing, to not care about what everyone else is doing, what they're telling her. I would tell her to ignore her teammates if they were saying things to her that she didn't like, and to ignore her coach when she felt that her decision on the field was better than her coach's. I would also remind her to leave everything out on the field. I would remind her why she started playing in the first place. If she was having a hard time on the field, I wasn't happy for a short period of time, or just feeling down, I would tell her to stop believing all the people that were hating on her and that were telling her she couldn't. I would tell her that if she would never take advice from a teammate, a parent, a coach, a sibling, whoever it is, then why would you take the criticism to your heart? I would tell her not to listen to other people's negativity. I would tell her that she's also in control of two things, her attitude and her effort. I would tell her to stop making excuses, but most of all, I would tell her to just have fun.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's yeah,
So good. I love
Yeah.
the part where you said essentially like you don't need to agree with everything that a coach says, right? And now, and certainly not other people, like, you know, teammates, friends, whoever, family members. We don't have to agree with everything that other people tell us about, for example, our performance. Even though we respect our coaches, we do our best to, you know, follow their directions and, you know, all that. We don't need to agree with everything they say. It's not, you know, it's not necessarily right. It's just their opinion. And I think that is so, so cool that you recognize this at your age.
And what is that inner power gen?
That's taking back your authority. Is that
Your
right?
inner authority. Yeah.
Your inner authority. This is something I'm working on in my life in a different area. But yeah, it's taking back your authority, and no one else can make you feel a certain way. And I'm the one who's in control of my thoughts, my beliefs, my actions, my behaviors, my choices, my words.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's meaning that like anyone can say anything to me, but at the end of the day, I get the last say.
Yeah.
So someone says you're this and that, I can think about it. I'll consider it. I'll take the criticism. I might be able to learn from it. But at the end of the day, I get to say yes or no to that. That's the inner authority. And it sounds like your inner authority is thriving and it's well. And for me, actually as a just within the someone with, you know, inner authority knows how to hold up a boundary and say no to them, even to themselves. I'm not going to think like that anymore. No, that's painful to think like that. I'm not doing it. Especially other people. Now that's self-respect. And when you have self-respect, and I'm telling you a story from when I was a young boxer, in my sort of early 20s, I had a coach who, when he would get frustrated, his actions was to treat me less than human. And I had the self-respect. I had enough self-respect to say, like, I don't know if he thought that, if he thought that works for him and other people, but I just wanted to leave. I didn't want to be around that. I'm not going to be around that. I'm not going to be treated like that. And I think that's a beautiful thing for everyone to develop, that I'm not going to take disrespect from people like that. Like, life's too short for me to be disrespected and mistreated for a game. It's like, we're not talking about, we're not fighting a war here. This is a game. This is a competition. So yeah, it's
meant to be fun. It's meant to be growth promoting. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and some coaches might think this was the best way to, I need to treat them like this. That might be their model of the world. Maybe that's how they got treated, or something, that I need to punish them so they know to do better the next time. That doesn't work for anyone. People with a high level of self-respect will walk away from that and say,
totally,
you just pushed me away. Yeah.
And we can always ask people this question, like, well, how's it working for you? Seriously, how's it working for you? Are you winning all the championships? Are you, having thriving?
Do you mean that coach? Is that, how's that working for you, coach? Yeah.
How's that working for you, coach? Are you winning all the championships? Are all of your athletes staying healthy? Which, by the way, his coach, as I understand it, a lot of his athletes were getting injured all the time because of how the coach was overtraining them and pushing them literally beyond their limits, breaking them. How's that working for you, coach? Right? Do you have an amazing team culture on the team? Well, if all those things aren't checked, not working for you. If your players are leaving.
Hunter, and that's not even to bag out this coach of mine. I love him very dearly, that coach. He's very much like a father figure in some ways. I have a lot of love for that guy, and he's but he had a different upbringing. He had, I would say, lacked emotional intelligence, and he would agree with me. If he was here, he would say, yes, I absolutely do. And he's admitted that and things. But to his credit, you know, he would have heard things like this. He would have heard, and he would go and get better. He would go and learn. He wouldn't be like, no, my way is still the best. And he would actually go and make a difference. So, so we asked you about what, to your younger self, what soccer advice would give you. And, but what life advice would you give to your younger self? If, what would you tell your younger self, Hunter?
Life advice that I would tell my younger self is that everyone has a past that's made them who they are, and you don't know what has happened to people. Because of this, you can't like judge people without knowing what they've been through. So you also want to be kind to everyone always. And will, you know, the saying, what doesn't kill you will make you so much stronger. Everything happens for a reason. Whatever the reason is, you should trust it. And if something still makes you cry, that means it still matters. You also don't want to take life for granted. You only have one life and you only get older. You want to live it to the fullest. And you also don't want to be afraid to speak up to your parents. Don't be afraid to say what's on your mind. And also understand that some people just never really grow. They never learned from their lessons. They never recognize their mistakes. They never acknowledge their faults. They never admit they were wrong in the first place. And you'll never receive an apology for them. You never see their behavior change. It's just who they are, and you can't change that. And that every bad situation will have something positive come out of it.
You, 14 years of wisdom. I can't wait to see what another 14 years does to you.
Well, I think grandma's integrated about 70 years of wisdom into Hunter there, because you're way too wise for a 14-year-old.
Please invite me to hang out with grandma.
She's yeah, she's done her grandmotherly duty well, passed on the wisdom. That's beautiful, Hunter. Well, thanks so much for joining us here, and we really think your words are really gonna you know, hopefully light up the lives of even a few people. It definitely has for me already. So I really appreciate you sharing your heart with us today. We know some of the things you shared was maybe some vulnerable things, and we really, you know, I personally really respect that and really honor you for doing that. So having the courage to do that and share with us. So thank you very much. Any final words, Jen?
We think the world of you, as you know, so keep lighting it up on the field, everywhere else in your life. We can't wait to keep following you and supporting you. And yeah, like Luke said, thank you for giving your all to this. I mean, I literally felt your heart and soul in your words. So thank you.